I got flaming hot takes about how I feel in regards to entitlement, period. I find a lot of people who are like, well, you should fucking pay me more, are in a room with 8 other people.
People are delusional because they believe that they should be paid more than what they're actually worth.
But I think the average person is delusional at what it takes to have a skill set that is of genuine value to a company. Because if that is your lens and your frame for how you approach your job or career, whatever, buddy, you're gonna be flipping fries for the rest of your fucking life.
I'm sure it will work. People are delusional because they believe that they should be paid more than what they're actually worth, and that the way they get compensated in the world is based on if they are asked to do more. That is when, or even just asking to be doing more, is an automatic requirement to get paid. Automatic requirement. And I think it's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. And I know you have some very flaming hot takes about how you feel about entitlement in the workplace.
Yeah, I got flaming hot takes about how I feel in regards to entitlement, period. I don't discriminate. It doesn't stay just in the workplace.
Okay.
I think a lot of people that I see on social media, especially in the comment section of videos, will make comments like, if you want me to do more, pay me more. If you expect more from me, don't pay the minimum wage. Insert whatever it is, right? People want to be compensated for more. And I get that. And I understand that it's like, yes, if you bring value and you are amazing at what you do, and the time and effort and energy you put into something has a multiplicative effect of it in a business, then yes, you probably deserve to be paid more than what you're currently doing. But I think the average person is delusional at what it takes to have a skill set that is of genuine value to a company.
When you say genuine value, what does that actually mean? Like quantifiably?
Yeah. Do you make the company more money? Like, I'm going to say this, and it isn't to be an asshole, but if your sole job is to flip the fries, that's a pretty basic task. And that doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be compensated for the time that you were there doing that role. But your job and what you do in your hours at work does not grow the business. It does not make the company more money. It does not improve the lives of customers, team members, the growth, totality, vision of where a company is going. So you want to be paid more money, but you don't do anything that creates more opportunity for everybody involved. And I think that's where a lot of the entitlement comes into. And then there's the layer of, well, if you want me to do more, pay me more. But that mentality is the problem. Because if that is your lens and your frame for how you approach your job or career, whatever, buddy, you're going to be flipping fries for the rest of your fucking life with that attitude. Dead ass. I will not apologize for saying that.
I think the other part of it is understanding how what you do, even if it's not like a revenue generating operation, is how it influences revenue, right? Being good at customer service doesn't inherently make you money, but it also inherently makes you money at the same time. Like if I just hand you something and say, thank you, have a nice day, that's customer service, doesn't inherently mean you're going to make more money. It can make a difference in terms of who keeps coming back though. So I think part of it is understanding what skill set are you building, and the other side of it being how does it tie back to improving the company, improving the environment you're in. What do you think causes people to have this entitled perspective, particularly in the workplace? Where is this coming from?
I think there's a few things. Number one, our perception of what success actually looks like is skewed. We see shit on social media. We hear about it through a friend. Maybe you see outlier stories where this person came into a company and they were promoted multiple times, or you heard that somebody's 23 or 24 making this type of money. Therefore, if they're making that, I should be able to as well, without ever once questioning like how that came to be, what was required of them to do that. There's no critical thinking. So our perception is skewed on what we think success is or what it takes to be successful. I think another thing, man, misery loves company. Like, hot take. Let's say we had 10 friends together in a room right now. And let's say you and me were there with 7 other people who had similar beliefs to us, right? Show up, get fucking skilled. You were paid by the value you bring to the marketplace. And that was 8 out of the 10 people in the room had that belief. And we had 2 people in that room. And those 2 people were saying, if you want me to do more, pay me more. That wouldn't be tolerated in that environment because nobody there shares that same belief. And 2 things would happen. You would either rise to meet the standard of the room and you'd be like, oh, that's a flawed way of looking at this. Let me improve myself and my skills as a person. I feel inadequate in this room. Or you would just leave the room and you would go find somebody else. I find a lot of people who are like, well, you should fucking pay me more, are in a room with 8 other people
that believe that they should be paid more.
So of course you just keep feeding into that. And then you end up not really doing a whole lot with your life.
I like how quickly it just turned to do. Hey, dead.
Yeah, but like think of the operating system. If you, like to me, when I hear that from somebody, what you are basically telling me is that you want certainty before you take action.
Sure.
You want confirmation that you will be rewarded before you apply yourself.
Sure.
And your entitlement is there that I will not do any of this until I am guaranteed this outcome. Okay, cool. Like you will be a loser for the rest of your life if that is your mentality. Now, that doesn't mean that you can achieve some success for yourself, but to me, it's much deeper than just like, what do you get paid at work? Because that whole operating system trickles into every single thing you do. That's the type of person that gets divorced 4 times and goes like, women these days are just shit. It's like the same operating system, in my opinion.
That creates its own conversation, but that's
but we're not going there.
We're not going there. No, I agree. I think the one thing that comes to my mind as you were talking, people are incredibly good at not creating context on any fucking thing. Like the social media thing, I agree with. It's you see the guy making, oh my God, this guy's making $20,000 a month. He's fucking rich. He has a Porsche, all this other shit. And it's like, you have no idea how they got there. You see the end result. And then you also are just like, oh, if they have it, why can't I? Which I don't disagree with the idea of like, go get what's yours. The other side of it, and I see this a lot in the working world, is people want to be paid something to do a role, but they have no context on 2 things. 1, where they are in their career. 2, what size company you are working at. Okay, and I'm going to share something that became very prominent to me in a different business. I was having a conversation with someone about their future and like how much they want to make working for us. And they were like, well, based on my research in the marketplace and the number of roles that I do here, I should be making $150,000 a year. And so we were sitting there and talking. I was like, how did you come to that conclusion? It's like, well, I'm doing this job, and this job. And I was like, okay, cool. I agree with you. So how much, keep going. Like, talk to me and break it down. She's like, well, if I'm doing 3 people's jobs, I should get paid for it. I was like, I don't disagree with you, but like, let's walk through it. And after we had a couple back and forth, I was like, you made an assumption based on market average, okay? You went and pulled up Indeed or salary.com. So you think, oh, like I should be paid $150K. Those numbers are based off averages of companies that are disproportionately bigger than you. You are working at a early stage business that barely does about 7 figures of revenue, right? Right there, and I think this is something people skew. They want their paycheck to match what they believe is market value, but they have no context on where the fuck they are. And I'm like, just so we scale this back. So I pulled up this chart for her, and I was like, at a 7-figure and early stage business, this job is a $60,000 a year job. And that's after bonuses and everything. You want this to pay you $150 like we run fucking Facebook right now. And I think I'm not using this to slash or like go after that person for thinking they can't be worth that. This is not what that is. But so many people will just take a little bit of information and then turn it into gospel. I went on the internet. It said this rolls $150K a year. Yeah, in the averages are skewed by bigger companies. If you start getting specific, you will find that you are not a $150K a year employee. And if you were, you'd be at Facebook and not here. Like, we're early, we're growing. Can we get there? Yes. Is there going to be opportunity? 100%. But you are coming, how do I say this? You are making a pitch for what you are worth in an environment that is not where you're actually capable or playing at. That's like coming in as an NBA player to a college team and being like, you guys should afford me at this rate. They don't have the budget. You're in the wrong league. If you are that good, go into the next league or play it out with this league so you can get to that place and be a part of something bigger. But like there's no utility in trying to make an argument without having context. And I see I've seen it with my friends being like, oh, look, I'm worth this and this. And I'm like, okay, if you're worth it, based on what metrics? Well, this is what it says. 5 years into my career, I should be doing this much. I'm like, yeah, in the averages at a company that's 8 times the fucking size of the one you're at. You want to get paid $200K for a job that your company makes about a third of the revenue of where you're getting your data from? What, like, how do you come to these conclusions? What problems do you see this creates inside of the workplace culture and the dynamics that people experience?
I think it can be incredibly difficult to work with somebody on a team that has that mentality. And it's one thing that, cool. So like, let's say you have that outlook. If you want me to do more, pay me more. Fair. Sure. And also do an incredible job at the role you've been hired to do at the wage that you're currently being paid. Mm-hmm. I should never have to coach you. I should never have to give you discipline for anything. You should be an absolute fucking rock star for the dollar amount that you get paid per hour, if that is your mentality. And then everyone can just leave you the fuck alone and do your job, but don't give anyone a reason to ride your ass. Like, if you truly want to commit to that way of being, sweet, then give nobody a reason to come to you with any problems because you are so goddamn incredible and immaculate at what you do. Mm-hmm. And then just like ride that fucker out to retirement. I just have no tolerance for it in myself personally as an individual, which is also probably why I have limited tolerance for it outside
in
of
our teams. Yeah, of course.
outside of myself.
I get it.
So I think it becomes dysfunctional when people are in that, but you don't even show up and apply yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have an attitude about the job that you agreed to at the wage that you agreed to be paid to do it. And if you are not doing that and your attitude is like, well, if you want me to do more, then pay me more. It's like, buddy, you can't even do what you were hired to do in the first place. And I think that creates friction on the team. Mm-hmm. And also, there's some seasons where you got to put out a couple fires. Things, you take on a little bit more work for a period of time, and then it evens itself out. I find it very interesting to watch people just like flop all over the place, like fish out of water when shit comes up. It's not in my job description. Okay, well, if you still want the company to be here in a year from now, how about you just buckle in for the next 6 weeks and get on board and help everybody? Again, context dependent. What size company are you at? However, like, I think that just, it creates so much tension and like lack of teamwork.
You know what, you said something, and I think I always thought this was funny, and it came to me just now. I remember I would, in the small handful of jobs I had after college, I would always get like the corporate document of like, here's your job description, here's what you're doing. There was always in the legal terms, like in the job description, and any additional tasks within reason of the role. Like, I'm sure you've seen some iteration 100%. Of that on, and I'm like, man, did you read your fucking agreement? Like, that doesn't mean go fucking whore yourself out onto the marketplace, but like, it is in the legal jargon when you agree to work there. It, like, in 99% of cases, it is written within reason or something about something relative to it. Yeah. And people get so up in arms, especially at smaller companies, but people get so up in arms about it.
I also think, and I won't paint everybody with the same brush. Sure. I'm sure there are some reasonable people out there that hold that belief. The ones that seem to be the loudest and the most combative about it are also the most difficult to get along with. You have this sense of just aggression over very basic things, and you give pushback on simple stuff, which makes it challenging to be on your team and work with you. And then other people step in and they will take on more work. So like if I think about it being in a manager role, all right, I have Jim on our team and Jim is like, if you want me to do more, fucking pay me more, walks out of the room. You get that feedback enough times, you're going to stop going to him altogether. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to go to Suzanne over here and you're going to ask her to do more shit. Mm-hmm. And she's willing, but it creates an imbalance in the team. And over time, Suzanne thinks, did I call him Jim or Bill? Doesn't matter.
Jim.
Thinks Jim's a dick because like you're not helping out. And I think that leads to resentment on a team.
I think the other thing that does is when you are the person who has the mentality or the perspective of pay me to do this, you fundamentally put yourself behind when it comes to job opportunities and career growth. If the answer is always going to be pay me, I'm only doing this if. Look, I'm all for negotiating your worth, and I'm all for having active conversations with your leaders for this is what I want in my career, this is the direction when I go, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm all for those things. I think that's an incredible thing to be proactive. Yet if every single time something comes up, it's how does this benefit me in the long run? It's like it's going to be very clear very quickly that you are not invested in the long run. And I think part of this, and I think that as an employee or a team member or a leader or manager who wants to make their way through career, one of the things you must do from the beginning is make it very clear what you want in the role you're in and where you see yourself going. Even if you're like, hey, I have no idea right now, but we can circle back to this in 6 months. It's just clear for everybody to be aware of like where you're at in life. And that's okay. I find so many people get upset about the fact that like, well, like I want this. Have you had these conversations actively with your boss? I don't know. No, not yet. I've only been there for 4 months. You've been there for 4 months. You're complaining. Like you can't not be clear. You want things to change. You want to have opportunities, yet you are very quick to dismiss the opportunities. Yeah. Every time someone asks slightly more, nobody asked you, like I promise you, nobody is listening to this and going to show up in the office on Monday and find out, got to make a rocket. I've been flipping fries for 2 weeks. They want me to make a rocket. Nobody is going to be in that situation. Promise you. With your bare hands in snow. There's no chance any of you are going to go through that. Like, that's not how companies work whatsoever. They ask you to work an extra 15 minutes or they ask you to be a part of a project that adds a little bit of load to your time. And you're reacting like I just put a fucking rocket on your desk and said, build it.
Yeah.
Barehanded. And I also think the other thing it does, and we've alluded to it and we've talked about it, but your skill development is fucking putrid. You're like not even that good at your fucking job. I've seen people who are 10 years in the same fucking role. They're not even good at what they do. That's one thing that always killed me at every company I was at. You have like, I think there's a difference between I am content with being in this role and like work doesn't matter to me. Like working isn't my identity. Like other things make me happy. So I'm not interested in evolving in the role or growing or whatever. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But what always blew my mind is you've got people who are like adamant and say they really care about moving up the corporate ladder or moving through a company. Bro, you've been in the same role for 5 years. 5. I know people who've been in the same role for 10 years. They're just happy to do the role. And you need people like that. As a company gets bigger, like it's inevitable that at some point, not everybody can get promoted. And also, not everybody wants to. I think sometimes people have the misnomer of wanting to. That's its own conversation. Yeah. But you're not even that good at the thing you do. Like at all. It's putrid. You are out here bitching and complaining about, I want to make more money. I want to do this. I want to do that. You're not even good at your job. You've been in the same role for 5 years.
It's the same mentality of, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to go to the gym. And I don't want to stop eating fast food. Like, people want a lot of things. Desire is one thing. Commitment and doing something about it.
It's a whole different bitch.
Is another conversation.
I also think, like we talk a lot about leaders and managers, I also think business owners are fucking horrid about this too, especially the ones who we see who are very much like on the internet or use social media for their marketing platforms. They are terrible. They are absolutely terrible. The number of business owners you will talk to, and this is a good lesson for people even who are part of teams and don't own the business. The number of times they think they should be making more money than they are is fucking incredible. I'm taking all the risk and all this shit. And it's like,
But you have no risk.
there is no risk.
What the fuck are you talking about? You take on risk.
You don't take on risk. And then you don't want to do anything. You want to hire to buy back your time.
Yeah.
You literally sound like an idiot. And by the way, this is not about not creating space for yourself to work and owning your time and your schedule. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big proponent of that. But you fucking hired this one. I'll never forget this one. You hired an operations manager at a business that does $20,000 a month in revenue, an ops manager, and paid them $5,000 a month. The math doesn't math. Or like you see people being like, oh, I just hired my chief executive. Your business did $40,000 last year. What what are they executing? You don't have a CEO. Business owners are just as guilty as people who are in management and leaders and even employees. Like, what are you doing? And again, you need to hire, but you also have to have context on where the fuck you are in your fucking life. Like, you are not that big.
I think a lot of this is like a side note, but I think people have poor systems. So if I was working at a company and I had more tasks put on my plate and it was like, hey, I need you to help do some of these things. Cool. And my issue and my pushback was it's causing me to have to stay late after my shift. The very first thing I would do as an individual is I would audit my time. And I'd be like, what tasks am I doing that I could, like, are these tasks even relevant right now? Am I just doing them because I've been doing them so long, but this truly doesn't
move the needle?
Yeah, do fuck all for the role that I'm in. So I would start going through where am I leaking time and energy? Where could I automate this? Where could I use AI? What systems could I put in place for myself? I would not wait on somebody to do that for me. Because to me, if it is a boundary for you that you're like, I don't want to stay past 5 o'clock, cool. Then fucking operate as somebody who doesn't stay past 5 o'clock and figure out what you need to do in the first 8 hours of the day to, cool, I got done what I needed to get done. I also think that when you are clear on what your priorities are and what you are doing that day with your own deadlines and you put systems in place, you check out at 5 o'clock and you're like, I know exactly what I'm doing tomorrow. And my shit is dialed in. Like, I think even of managers, and I think a lot of people don't help them with this, but you take meetings every day and they're scattered all over the place with like an hour block in between stuff. And it is so ineffective. And you just task jump and you don't get anything done because you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off instead of just like batching things and making it easier for yourself. When I was a manager and I had to do performance evaluations, it was like, okay, I'm going to knock them out in 2 fucking days of the month. Time block, sweet. Can I just like crank all of these out in an afternoon to the best of my ability? Not, okay, I'll do a little bit on Monday and I'll do a little bit on Wednesday, and just having all of these open loops everywhere. So my pushback and suggestion to somebody would be, if somebody's put more responsibility on your plate or has asked you to help with more and you're like, yeah, I can, be crystal clear on like what is a yes and a no to you and start operating. Like, what got you here won't get you there. And if you have been operating throughout your days and your weeks and your months in one way, look at it and say, can I automate this? Can I systematize it? Can I make it better? And what tasks am I still doing that honestly this role outgrew 3 months ago that I haven't let go of? And start there. And that would be my same feedback for somebody who's like, if you want me to do more, pay me more. Okay. I would also be willing to bet that if I started digging into your workday and what you did, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to be that crazy fucking bitch that starts going through everything.
You don't want to be that bitch.
But I bet money that if I did and I started rooting around, I would find shit that you were doing that you shouldn't be.
I think this walks right into how you create change. I think that's a good segue to that. I think you had some elements there. So if we're looking to help someone change, I think you kind of covered a little bit of a gist of like what would you give them as like, how do I change being in this situation where I feel like I'm either underpaid and overworked, or they want me to do more, but they're not willing to pay me?
I think if you feel underpaid and overworked, I think the first step in that is similar to what I just said. If you just keep taking on shit and you never systematize it or drop the things that are irrelevant, yeah, it probably doesn't feel too good.
Yeah.
So I think number one is figuring out that. Audit, time audit, go through your stuff, task audit. What am I doing? What is important? What isn't? Do you answer the phone for everybody's 5-minute emergencies? Because if you had some boundaries in place and you had a better structure, would you feel overworked? And it's part of the reason that you feel overworked is because you have piss poor energy management. I wouldn't even say just time management, but like energy management. When do you do things in the day? For me, I turn into a raging psycho if I start taking meetings before like 11 at the earliest. I don't want to fucking talk to you. So if I was to load up my day and it was like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., yeah, I would feel very overworked and underpaid.
Yes.
If I took all of that and I shuttled it to 12, 1, 2, and 3, all of a sudden my day doesn't feel so shitty anymore. So I think it's like time audit and then energy audit, looking at your stuff and trying to systematize that first. If you feel overworked and underpaid. And then if you do that and you create a bunch of space, you're like, man, maybe my job isn't as shitty as I think it is. I think it's a little bit of a perspective. I think your second question was legitimately being underpaid.
Yeah.
If your company's not going to give you a raise and you can actually prove that you're that incredible and you truly are that good, and you have that conversation with them and you are that good, they probably don't want to lose you. Companies don't like to lose top talent.
No.
So if you went to them and you were truly somebody that they saw as top talent, which you would stand out like a sore thumb, because let's be honest, a lot of people are wildly fucking average in how they approach their career, their life, their body, all of the things. So if you have 100 people in a company and you are a top performer, you stand out.
I think another thing that you kind of alluded to it, but it's like, obviously manage your time, like get clear on how that's going to work for you, like how you want your work to work for you. That's one. I think the one that is wildly undervalued and people miss is, do you actually understand how your job makes a difference in the financial component of a business? This is one that I see with a lot of people where it's like, I want to make more money. Cool. Do you have a way of measuring that what you tangibly bring to the table is going to impact the bottom line or the top line, either or both for that matter? Because what happens is you have to be good at your thing first. That's number one. So once you're like clear on what you said, where it's like manage your energy, etc., the next thing is you actually have to be fucking good at what you do. And then secondarily, if you're going to go try to find a way to get people to pay you better and pay you more, you also have to be able to explain to them how what you did made a quantifiable difference in the job. I promise you, there is no world that you can go to them and say, hey, I did my job well, and that's enough to make money. I'll use a basketball analogy for this. Everybody who's listening to this or watching this knows who Stephen Curry is. Okay? He's the best shooter ever. He did not go to them and was like, fucking pay me because I'm making 300 threes a year. That's your job, bro. You're the point guard. Shoot the fucking ball. Now, and he had ankle injuries, so he was a liability. Now he started shooting threes, making them. The team started doing better. Then they started winning championships. Now he's making $60 million a year. He's making like 12 less than 10 years ago, which proportionately, if you're listening to this, it is reasonable to believe that you could 5x your income. It's not unreasonable. But the gap of how much work they had to do and how valuable it had to be, that organization, I'll use it as a really simple example, him being as good as he is, has fundamentally made that organization a lot of fucking money. A lot of fucking money. So you think they're going to be upset about paying the guy $60 million a year? No. Company's worth $9.3 billion. It was worth like $400 when he came into the team. Yeah, they'll pay you fucking money. And sports is a very easy place to do this. I understand someone's going to watch this and be like, oh, well, not everybody can be Steph Curry. No shit, dick. But the concept of you are so valuable to an org and we can quantify your influence and impact on this. And I can remove this from sports. I have a friend, I've talked to you about this. I have a friend, when we got out of college, he knew I want to be a CFO or a CEO at some point in my life. I'm very well of this. So I'm going to go to this program at GE. Then I want to get into private equity. And eventually I want to be an executive. Okay. He did this financial planning program at GE. He crushed it. Insane. Like whatever. Went to a private equity company. He knew how good he was. He knew it. He made a significant difference. And I'm going to tell you. So if you went from one company to the other, you knew your worth. He was at one of the largest PE firms in the world. I will not say who it is, but they will know who I'm talking about. He did so good. He was like, oh, I want to be a deal partner. How it works at these private equity firms, the big ones, is, oh, if you don't have a Harvard MBA, we can't put you on the deal team. So you had a choice. You can go back to Harvard. You can go to Harvard, shell out $250K out of your fucking ass and pay for school and maybe work part-time here. Or you can fuck around and find out and go to a different PE firm and fast track your way to being a CEO, CFO, whatever the fuck you actually want to be. He could have very much took what they said and been like, oh, no, I'll go get my MBA, played their game. He didn't. He went to a different PE firm. He became the CEO of a company less than 6 months ago. He was the CFO as of 2.5 years ago. He went from CFO to CEO. I'm 32. He's one of my only friends who's CEO. He's fucking really good at what he fucking does. He knew his worth. He's fucking skilled. He knows the rules of the game. He got to bend the rules of the game to his advantage. And this happens, mind you, he started as a fucking entry-level employee at a company to begin with in all of this. And I don't think everybody can do what he did in the last decade. I don't think most people are going to come out of college, crush it in a major program, go to a PE firm, swing their dick, go to another PE firm, show them how good you are, end up being a CEO by 32. I don't think most people are going to do that. But all of the concepts that got him there along the way are true. Get good at what you do. Quantifiably demonstrate you understand how it influences their P&Ls and their system. If they ask for something and you don't agree with it, if you know you're that good, you can bet on yourself. His bet paid off. If he had stayed at Blackstone or any of these PE firms, it would have been, he probably still would have done all these things. He had no interest in doing the Harvard MBA. So he said, fuck it. I'll pivot and dance and go the way I think it's best for me. Bet paid off. If you're that good, it'll work. If you are skilled, like we said, get clear on who you want to be. Are you skilled? Like, are you really fucking good? Do you understand your impact on an organization? He had to meander to get there. Steph Curry, straight shot. This team was like, we can't lose the fucking best shooter of all time. He didn't start that, but he became that. So if you're actually going to do something, you have to know, what do you want? What's your skill set that is quantifiably useful? How does it actually impact it? Can you show them the numbers? I promise you, I can tell you this, and if you're a business owner, listen, if you can quantifiably understand the math of how things influence things, you will make more money. Most fucking business owners cannot understand the math of a business. None of them. The only thing they can tell you is they made a sale. Level 1 of awareness on how to build a business is revenue. You have to be skilled and you have to understand how it impacts it. If you don't, you don't have opportunities. You will not have opportunities. And I promise you, if you're not good, one, and two, if you're not able to tie it to something substantial or meaningful to an organization, don't even bother trying to go to another company. It won't work. You will be dead fucking meat. All of these people that you guys see on the internet, I watch some very interesting podcasts. There are people that are now multi-billionaires, and they started as employees. They did not start as entrepreneurs. Steve Ballmer was at Microsoft. He was not an entrepreneur. He's a billionaire. He happens to be a business owner now, but that's not how he started. And again, this isn't about billionaire. It's about understanding, like, if you are really good at what you do and you know the tangible worth to a company, you will find a way to make whatever amount of fucking money you want to make. But you got to know who you want to be first, and then you got to pay, like, what are you going to be good at? Because I promise you, if you're like, hey, I want to make a lot of money, and you fucking are nothing but full of piss and vinegar, there is no fucking path forward for you. Nobody follows a fucking piss and vinegar bottle.
Piss and vinegar model.
Literally. Like, who? Nobody wants to do that.
Skay, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, person's listening to this. Do you think it is important for somebody to pick like one path and like 1 to 2 skills that they get super good at instead of being all over the place? Like, this is the thing I want to do. This is the path I want to take. And we talk about getting skilled, knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to run in 5 directions at the same time, you're not going to get anywhere. So, is it fair to say that throughout your lifetime, time is going to go by with or without you? You can probably develop whatever skill you want, but you're not going to develop 10 of them at the same time.
I think for the average person listening, the best thing you can do is whatever your current job is, whatever it is. I don't care if you're a tech engineer. I don't care if you're the manager of a fucking sofa store. Like, it doesn't matter. Get whatever the primary skill to do well in your job is, get really good at that. The other one that I will always tell people is learn and study human behavior. It is quantifiably the most important thing you can learn. And don't just sit here and learn and be like, oh, I understand that Charlene's going to be mad about me saying what I said. I'm like, how does it influence decision making, how you're thinking about solving problems, how you're looking at the things you're doing? Because ultimately, the best people in business are able to have a broader outlook on problem solving. And they can also, in that broader outlook, come back to principles. And I don't think most people realize that. Like, I listen to people like an Elon or a Zuckerberg or a Bezos or a Mark Randolph at Netflix. Like, I've listened to all these different people, and I'm like, you have a very broad outlook on the world. You also come back to very simple principles. You definitely have to have some level of understanding of people and human behavior for that to work at any level in business. And I think people undervalue that. And I can go to any of these people. And again, I think Elon's probably a one-off, but most of these people have one skill that they're really fucking good at. Like, one very specific thing.
Do you feel that you have one skill that you're very good at?
I'm good with people. I don't have many good skills. I can do math and I can fucking
I got
handle a
2.
lot of it. I got like 2. No, I'm serious. I'm real good at understanding the math so much better than everybody else that I can find you which lever is the one to pull. And then I understand how to work with people. That's about it. All this other shit, fuck me. Making content, holy fuck! Right now, this is a life. This is an experience of a lifetime. Like, I'll be one day when I am big on social because of your support, and obviously, like, my wife and a handful of other people, I will say I still suck at this. Like, honestly, terrible. Barely can tie my shoes. Barely. I'm just really good at understanding the pattern recognition aspect of stuff and then the math of everything. It's very easy for me in any endeavor to identify what math I need to be aware of and then what behaviors and patterns I need to execute. Like, even to this day, I talk to certain friends of mine and we'll talk about fitness coaching and all this stuff. Like, man, you know a lot. It's like, man, I learned all this shit just figuring out 2 things. Like, I still, for the life of me, sometimes I listen to doctors like read the labs back to me. I'm like, I still don't know what the fuck this does. I understand enough of what's going on that the math here doesn't make sense, but I have no idea what you just said. That's for you. That's not a me thing. You tell me, I'll learn. I'm happy to learn. But the only reason I can tell it is because I understand some of the math.
I'm terrible at math.
It's okay.
That's why we're business partners. I don't have to be good at math.
No.
Cool. So somebody listening to this, don't be entitled. Pull your head out of your ass.
Get good at what you do.
Get skilled.
And understand how it influences the environment you're in. And no, not everything has to make revenue right off the rip.
Yeah. The other thing I'll end with as well is I think that unless you have like a genuine desire to build a business, to be of service to other people.
Don't do it.
Don't fucking do it. Just stay. Because here's the thing. It's like, if you stay in your role and you get really skilled at like 1 to 2 things and you can just crush.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Compared to like in business, you have to be good at quite a few things and sufficient enough at many to then know who to hire, what people to put in place over time. Like, it just, the workload is fucking ungodly.
Yeah.
Like, I have no regrets being a business owner, and like, I'm totally cool with the path I chose in life. I think for most people, you would probably be happier working for a company and getting so fucking good at what you do that you can get paid whatever you want and work your way up in your career without having to manage like all the shit of being a business owner.
Yeah, there's a tremendous responsibility if you're really looking to build a business. Like, I don't think it's for everybody. Until next time, we bid you adieu.